Inflation, your savings' biggest enemy, and here's how to beat it. Meet Sharma ji. He loves his morning walks and never forgets to drink his favorite masala chai at the street corner. He's been drinking chai at the same chaiwala since 1980. No wonder he proudly regales stories of how the tea was sold at just ₹2 when he first started drinking tea at the shop. Of course, how over the years the price of chai has risen and the cup has shrunk, thanks to inflation. So, what is inflation? Inflation, in simple words, refers to the rise in the price of product and services over time. It affects every aspect of life: food, clothing, education, homes, travel, healthcare, gadgets, etc. For instance, if your monthly expense for groceries, maintenance bills and leisure is about ₹30,000 in 2020, it won't be enough to meet the expenses 5 years from now. So, if we assume a 7% rate of inflation, you will need about ₹42,000 in 2025, ₹59,000 in 2030 and ₹1,16,000 in 2040. But before you brush this aside with the simple logic that prices tend to rise over time, consider this. Is your income increasing at the same rate, if not faster? Yes? No? Sometimes? If your answer is a no or sometimes, then unlike Sharma ji, you won't be able to indulge in your favorites the same way. You will soon be faced with serious questions. What will I have to give up to prevent going into debt? How will rising costs change my lifestyle? And if these issues occur while you still have a job, can you even imagine the struggle after you retire, especially if you rely solely on what you save? Inflation can be your savings' biggest enemy, but it doesn't need to. Be like Sharma ji, who managed inflation by choosing investment solutions that potentially offered higher returns. He wasn't a financial wizard. He didn't do any investment mumbo-jumbo. All it took was a little planning and some discipline. He invested a small amount every month throughout his career in investment options that returned more than the rate of inflation. Some SIPs in mutual fund schemes, asset allocation moves, and voila! You, like Sharma ji, can enjoy your chai throughout your life. You may consult your investment advisor to make sure your investments grow faster than the rate of inflation. An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to the Mumbai semi-finals of Businessline Boardroom Challenge 2023. I am Srimati Sridharan. Businessline Boardroom Challenge, a unique competition for B-schoolers, has 3 levels: a preliminary round, a semi-final across 8 cities and a grand finale. The online tests in the prelims tested students' decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. In the semi-finals, the students got the chance to meet and compete with the best minds from top B schools across the country and present their strategies. And in finals, students will showcase their skills by solving a live corporate case. Now without further ado, let's jump right into it. I now request Mr. Vinay Kamath from Businessline to take over.
Welcome all to the BL Boardroom Challenge 2023. I am Vinay Kamath of Businessline. This unique case challenge for B-schoolers is in its 7th year. In the first year of the challenge, in 2017, Reba Chennai was the winner, followed by ISB Hyderabad in 2018 and IIM Ranchi in 2019. SIBM Pune won the contest in 2020, while IIM Shillong won in 2021 and SPJIMR in 2022. Till the 2019 edition, the semi-final rounds of the contest were held across 8 cities at B schools which hosted the event. The preliminary round has always been online, where students are administered a psychometric test to assess their decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. The grand finale, where B schools which won city-specific semi-finals competed for the grand prize, had in earlier years been held in Chennai. From the year 2020, keeping in mind the safety of the students and others involved in this contest during the pandemic, it has been conducted entirely online, including the semi-final rounds and the finals as well. This year too, we are conducting the event online, given its efficacy as a convenient medium where students don't need to spend time traveling to various destinations. The semi-finals case will test the participating teams on the knowledge of finance, marketing and strategy and decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. The BL Boardroom Challenge is a unique event which has become part of the calendar of contests for B schools. May the best team win the 2023 BL Boardroom Challenge. All the best.
To outline the case for the semi-finals, each of the teams had to take on a role of a consulting company that has a huge knowledge in the EV area. The task for the planning team is to make a 5-year business plan for a newly established company. This company, named Green Mobility India, is a subsidiary of a renewable energy giant. The participant have to facilitate its entry into the electronic vehicles market. They would need to present the dynamics and therefore qualitative and quantitative inputs if green energy can proceed in the EV space or not. The business plan if it feels the company should enter the field. Real impact of the EVs on the environment considering cradle to grave impact compared to ICE and hybrid. Understanding consumer preferences and secondary sources and projecting the market scenario for 5 years. Projected progress of charging infrastructure and its impact on penetration of EVs. Each team will get 15 minutes to present their case and will be followed by 5 minutes of questions and answers. The team will be marked for 50 points by each jury member. The team with the highest total wins. Here is the breakup. Understanding of case points 10. Case analysis 15. Solution 10. Presentation 10. Teamwork 5. Now it's over to the teams presenting today.
Hello everyone, we are Team Grey Rhinos and Company and we'll start with the presentation. Next slide. So these are our team members as you already know. Next slide please. The contents of the table is here and first we'll start with the market dynamics. So as you can see in the graph, the Indian hybrid and electric cars market has grown by 300% and has reached to a value of $3,000 million by 2022. Next slide, please. The volume has shown the tremendous growth as well. And in 2022, India sold around 70,570 units of hybrid and EV vehicles. Next slide, please. So in the forecasted period 2022 to 2027, the Indian market is poised to grow and will be achieving around 1 lakh units of EV and hybrid vehicles sold, and that will be a 1200% increase since 2022. Next slide, please. Now we will analyze this market using the Porter's 5 forces. So you can see that the buyer power, that the high concentration of players in the market increases the degree of rivalry, while because of the high fixed cost, the new entrants are very less. The availability of substitutes in the form of the conventional vehicles is high. The supplier power is also low because there are many intermediaries involved and a lot of players are there in the market. The buyer power is still in a moderate stage because buyers vary in size. Car dealership and leasing companies still have more buyer power while compared to the individual who buy car for their own usage. Next slide, please. Now, some of the external factors that determine or affect the EV and hybrid markets are economic, socio-cultural, cultural, and technological. So, looking from the economic perspective, there are a lot of buyers who are concerned about the prices of the EV and hybrid because they cost considerably higher than the conventional ones, and of course, the charging infrastructure is being developed. Therefore, a lot of buyers are not tending towards buying the electric vehicles. Coming to the socio-cultural factors, the awareness among the people have increased towards the environmental concerns, and therefore they're more acceptable of EV and hybrid cars. Same is with the infrastructure readiness. If there are more infrastructure and the extent to which this infrastructure improvement takes place in the upcoming years will decide whether the buyers are ready to buy the EV and or not. The technological factors will play an important role in reducing the range anxiety that people have right now, and better technology will definitely help in gaining more acceptance from the buyers. Next slide, please. Some of the environmental factors and legal factors are shown here, and I will just highlight some of the main points. So, because government has committed to, make India carbon neutral by 2017. Therefore, a lot of government initiatives in the form of subsidies and EV adoption policies are coming up. There are intellectual property rights because of which every day you see a new innovation, and because of the safety regulations, many companies and many innovations are taking place every now and then. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so I will
So
be discussing the real impact of the EVs on the environment. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is a schematic diagram showing how the different powertrains of the vehicles work. And I have devised the types of emission into three. That is the tailpipe emission, well-to-wheel, and life cycle emission, of which the EC engine drivetrain has the highest levels of emission. The hybrid drivetrain is somewhere around medium to low because it is both aided by electric as well as the conventional IC engine. Whereas in the electric drivetrain, the well-to-wheel emission is a bit ambiguous from a medium to low. Why? Because it is source dependent. The following graph also shows the global warming potential, which has a strong future ahead of battery operated electric vehicle because they have a significantly less impact in the terms of kilogram of carbon dioxide emission. Next slide, please. So this picture that you see on your left side of the screen is the life cycle emission detailing out how much of the carbon is emitted by the battery operated electric vehicles, hybrid, as well as the internal combustion. Clearly, we can see that internal combustion engine has the highest negative impact. The hybrid lies somewhere in the middle as it combines the good and bad of both the worlds. And the electric vehicle has smaller impact, but still the sphere is big. Why is that? Here are the factors that I have listed down. The first is the sustainability factor of lithium-ion batteries. The 1, 2, 3 shows the how the lithium ion is being manufactured, and the significant impact on it is on the water pollution factors. They end up acidifying the water. The present extraction process end up acidifying the water pools, which distort the local flora and fauna and cause a significant hazard for human health. The hard rock mining process is a very pollution emitting process, and it involves fracking and usage of furnace to extract the metal, and hence all the pollution factors come in. The water footprint is also very significant. The recycle, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. The recycling and the electricity produced of these factors are also end up polluting the environment, and these are the news reports which we came across while observing these factors. Thank you.
Now we did some secondary research to understand the consumer behavior towards EV and hybrid cars. So these are some of the findings that you can see in the screen. You can just change the slides. So most of the consumers, considering safety, brand, ownership, their prevalent interest is in the mobility. So 28% of them agree that it's electric conventional vehicles are bad for the environment. And they come from all income brackets. So you can just change the slides because we are short of time. And so some of the key insights that we got from here are most of them are males, tend to be younger, and live in a city with over 1 million of inhabitants. Consumer lifestyle is mostly focused on having a good time. They have prevalent interest in electric car, and they are less likely to follow cricket but follow other games. The marketing touch points where they remember seeing an ad for electric or hybrid vehicles is by mail, and they remember seeing ads and blogs more often than the average consumer.
So in this slide we'll be discussing the charging infrastructure present in India. Next slide. So this is the map which is detailing out the number of charging stations. The policy support is significant. India is presently aiming for a 30 by 30 vision, that is having 30% of the electric vehicle registration by 2030. FAME and the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan, they are incentivizing EV purchases. But there is a certain roadblock. The present infrastructure is very less. We are 40% behind the target of 30 by 30 vision, and we need to increase our pace. The long charging periods and the lack of interchangeable battery equipped vehicles facility also is a major roadblock, so that for quick adoption of this technology, we have developed a few points that can be used to mitigate this roadblocks. They are public private partnership that can bolster this charging infrastructure. We need to develop a strong power grid so that we can have quick charging capacity of up to 1000 volts and 500 amps, so that the 10 to 15 hours of waiting period is reduced to some minutes. We can pair up with solar electrification and other non-conventional electrical sources to completely reduce the carbon footprint of the electric vehicle industry, so that they can even become even more greener and have more adoption in the market. Next slide, please. So this is the charging infrastructure. So there is a McKinsey report which details out the concerns regarding the people, and they see that the close proximity charging number of charging stations is very much missing. People still miss out on the key charge in the on the key areas, the charging sectors, and the decision factors which impact the how they will charge the vehicle, where they'll charge the vehicle, is the charging speed of the station, the data that will be consumed, and the safety of the location. And there are other factors which can be read on later. Thank you.
You're on mute. Just check that out.
Apologies. Yeah. Coming to the business plan, we have tried to summarize the whole market summary, starting with a huge growth rate for the projected period 2023 to 2031, which is around 23.47%. One major concern regarding the EVs still be the high cost of cost to purchase, initial cost for the consumers. But there are other factors like urbanization, which is going to support EV market, as many cities are converted into are added to smart city mission, and these cities will also look forward to establishment of charging stations, which in turn would spike the EV adoption.
10 minutes over.
Next is, on the regional analysis, we found that North India is the largest market in the country, where New Delhi is going to become EV capital of India in some time. And the major contributing factors to this are the subsidies, charging stations, and increasing use of vehicles, electric vehicles in these public transport. As we can see, there are buses and other e-rickshaws. And definitely the rising environmental concerns in the New Delhi. According to FAME 2, we can see that Maharashtra has made some amendments in their EV policy, and they are expecting to convert 25% of their public transport into clean energy vehicles. And again, there is constant growing support from government investments, though like China and other countries, we can expect that there would be a reduction in subsidies. But by the time 2030 and the government targets are achieved, we cannot expect them to withdraw the subsidies, which would otherwise harm the EV market. Coming to the leading players in the Indian EV market, we can see that, yes, there are not all the players in the market which are in the traditional IC engine vehicle market, but yes, there are good brand names, and they hold a strong brand power. Coming to consumer segments, we propose this business plan to target 3 consumer segments. First is B2B, where intracity and intercity transport takes place. Second is adventurers and travel or vehicle enthusiasts. For them, we need to provide a wow factor for using EV and adopting EV. And it is a niche segment of EV consumers, which is right now dominated by petrol heads. Next is intracity commuters, where charging and service strength can ensure complete dominance. Coming to the adoption, we have seen that more than around 48% of the people are in the early majority group who are adopting EVs. And hence, we propose a product development phase-wise approach related to the adoption curve. For example, for innovators, we need to give a wow factor and a good value proposition. And definitely, a important part to this would be customer sales interaction. And following, like the early adopters, again, the USP would be a main point, and the other would be safety and quality and service. Next is early majority, where we need to provide a differentiation for them and based on the needs. Like, for example, some would need a sporty car, somebody would need a safe car, and again, the features, so on. Coming to the marketing plan, we think green mobility in the starting phase of the 5-year business plan, it should be more aggressive towards its promotions and the place. For example, it should start from the metropolitan city so that at least there is a viewpoint created in the people that it's sort of scarce and also sort of falls in a premium segment and is of good quality. And then promotion should be 360 have a 360-degree coverage, because in the earlier slides we have seen through our research that the EV owners are available on all the social media platforms and they are more interactive with their companies. Next is what is a final business plan recommendation? It's a go ahead. We have not tried to calculate the whole ROI or the IRR of the statement, but we have tried to see in what time it would go EBITDA positive, which is around 4th year, and the whole payback period would be the 5th year onwards. And these are the few calculations. Here we can see we have made few assumptions as well. Like it was given in the case that there would be a sale of around 20 million EVs cumulatively from 2024 to 2030. But we have tried to project it from 55,000 to 14 lakhs because we seemed it to be a more theoretical answer to it, and this sounds more feasible. And similarly with the total passenger vehicle market as well, it is also projected value. And coming to the plant investment, we have took the standard data where we found that around if you invest of something around 1000 CR, you will be able to produce around 10,000 cars per year. And if you invest somewhere around 5,000 CR, the capacity would be around 1 lakhs. We have tried to make a overall investments of 2000 CR, given the fact that this market is very dynamic and will keep on changing year to year. So let's be more just in time and, we have money so that we can invest later on. Also, in this, 100% FDI is allowed by Government of India. And so this is a good
You're
option
15
for...
minutes over.
Thank you.
Do you need to finish? You finished?
No. I just ended.
Okay,
We are open to
on the
Yeah,
dot.
can you just go back to your numbers? Yeah, thanks. Well, I need to really appreciate the amount of time probably you have spent in collating all the data, and the way you have presented it is really wonderful. A couple of things which I was not clear is, one, what is the market share which they need to look at? That is one. Second is, I'm also looking at before taking a final decision, like, though I could make out that probably you are suggesting me to go for the EV one. And is there any comparison on the cost? How is that a hybrid model, whether it is better, whether my EV model is a best option to go for? Somewhere that was missing. Your business plan was only focusing on the EV model, how much? And plus the EV model also, what is the kind of market share they need to have so that they will at least break even? These were some of the questions where I didn't get an answer. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I really appreciate your efforts and good presentation. Over to you, SK.
Should
Yeah,
I...
you want to answer? Yeah,
Please
please.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So, like in the business plan in the last slide only, we mentioned that we will be entering into both hybrid and EV market. our initial investment towards will be towards the more of the hybrid vehicles, but with the subsequent investments, like we have in first year 1000 cr, then 500 and 500 and 1000. So in these we'll try to increase our contribution in the EV market and not the hybrid one, because right now still in India we do not find charging stations available in every part of the cities. Like only it's more abundant in the tier 1 and metropolitan cities. So for people to change their behavior, we can come up with either PHEV or series hybrid or parallel hybrid, which we found in our study. Next, later on our investments would be more towards coming up with good EV uh, uh, cars, and that too at a rate like recently we saw that Tesla has announced it would be giving EV at 20 lakhs or something. So we have tried to keep it a bit above Tesla, because it's not confirmed that whether they'll be able to make it in 20 or not, and also we don't know if it is our core competency to commit in 20 lakhs. So we have took the rates around somewhere in 22, and for hybrid we have taken the rates of 16 lakhs. And coming to your next question, uh, what was our viewpoint on, could you like repeat the second part? uh,
I was asking
Market share.
yeah.
Yeah. So we try to on the basis of the numbers of how much sales the government wants to see in every year of the EV, we have summarized that around 80% of the share is with Tata, and the remaining companies are split up in the 20% bracket. And as a new entrant, we won't be able to capture how aggressive we go more than 2%, because the number becomes very huge, and we still don't know what is the brand legacy. If we have a good brand legacy, then definitely we can shoot up to 3% or 4% in the let's say one first 2 to 3 years. But right now we have kept it to be a bit conservative, around 1.51 and 1.5 in the starting few years.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, so the presentation was very nice. You have done a lot of study. Before I ask any questions, so a suggestion to you is that don't cram any presentation with too much of details. Right? Make it very simple so it's easier for us to. Otherwise, what happens is now you are actually running, right? Because we didn't have time. So that's one part of it. The second part of it, taking off from what Mr. Gururaj asked you, the presentation till the numbers came in, you are focusing on EV. You have never mentioned anything about hybrid or what model of hybrid. I think you're always talking only about EV. And suddenly the numbers alone show hybrid. I mean, imagine as a consultant, you are making a presentation to the board and you have been pitching on EV throughout, and suddenly you're showing me a hybrid. Now, how am I supposed to react to that? Number one. Number two, before showing the number, if you're explaining to me why or comparison between hybrid. Again, hybrid, when Mr. Gururaj asked you the question, you started talking about all the hybrid models. You can play around with all the models. I mean, is it possible for you, feasible for you to do that? You will have to choose something, right? And why are you choosing that? That's something which you are not, I don't think you have thought about that. Second thing, your numbers are going haywire because I think if you really read the case study, I'm sure you realize unless you capture 20% of the market, you're not going to be profitable. You need to push for 20% of the market, which means that, you are spending somewhere around 12 crores on your plant itself, 10 to 12 crores in your plant, right? And about 2.5 like vehicles being rolled out in a year per annum. Right. So relook at the numbers. I mean, I might be. You can always bring back and then say yes.
No,
I'm right, but you are wrong. That's absolutely not an issue. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, so you're definitely not wrong. We went through the case, we found those numbers, but we also tried to do some secondary analysis based on what's the current investments other companies are making. And is it feasible to attain like 20% market in the first 5 years itself? Because there are many like Maruti is also coming up with its EV in the next year, and there are many other companies also which are actually aggressively playing in the EV market. So we found it a bit infeasible in the first 5 years, to target that, okay, we'll be able to, gain a market share of 20%. And that's why we went and take the other approach based on our numbers, which we thought.
But do you think 5 years isn't a long time to survive this industry? Because so many things are going to change. Common norms can change. So many factors are going to change. It's going to influence you over a period of time. Right? As and when it changes, if you're not aggressive, you're not going to help it. Second thing is, who are we? We are the renewable energy organization, correct? How are you using our renewable energy to your advantage? You are talking about charging stations in your numbers. Why are you talking about charging stations? Are you going to set up charging stations? Or is there a cost you want to spend?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you are going to spend that cost, you understand what is the cost of each charging station. How much
Yes,
are
sir.
you? What kind of from our strengths, core strengths, which we have as an organization? How are you going to utilize that strength?
So our core idea was like, since we are already in renewable energy, maybe when we are setting up the charging station, we can leverage some of our key strengths. Like if we are into solar panels, maybe we can install the solar panels and on the charging station, and which will make it self-sustainable, and we will not be required to, let's say, the cost of uh, per unit electricity consumption around something around 6 rupees, which was given. We might have a leeway on that, and it can increase our profit margins.
Good. This is what you should have done in the presentation, the slides. You understand?
I'm
I,
really
I,
sorry,
I, I
sorry.
am I'm happy that you're kind of able to handle the question and be able to respond to it. But the point is that if it had been presented, that would have been better for any presentation as a consultant to have
Yeah,
known. Correct?
we would take
Vinay?
the feedback positively.
Yeah. So Soham, you had a slide which kind of painted a very stark picture of lithium-ion batteries. So sustainability of that, the cost of mining that, the cost of disposal, and uh, so and yet you recommend to green mobility that go ahead with EVs.
So my whole idea was that to learn from our past mistakes. These are the industries that have been trying to enter into EV market, and these are some of the back end things, the mistakes, or what can I say, some misdoings which had been done historically. And as a new entrant, we have to look to them. We'll have to understand from their mistakes and ensure that we don't repeat these blunders, so that our good intention does not get spoiled by some kind of back end mistakes that we do. That lithium ion water discharge that we were talking about, I would suggest that proper zero liquid discharge and other liquid proper liquid handling of those lithium ion manufacturing can help us prevent that accident. That news report which I was showing, I went through the report, and people are seriously demonstrating against that EV industry in China because their effluents are running into the river and it's destroying the wildlife. So we need to have that into mind. Just because of the sake of sustainability, we cannot just step on what is right in front of us. We need to take care of everything. And that's kind of a reality check for us. That is why I mentioned that despite our good intentions, there might be some mistakes, and we have to learn from the history and ensure that we do not end up repeating the same mistakes. That was my intention of putting those news reports.
So if we plug in an EV car which still runs on dirty fuel like coal-fired thermal plants, so again the entire cycle of sustainability is not maintained. So maybe green mobility can do something about it and provide clean energy end to end. I mean,
Yes, sir.
that's a
I agree.
thought. Maybe
Uh,
that's an ideal world, but that's not
Yes,
happening.
sir, exactly. Like the dream of the entire world running on green electricity. That life cycle emission, reduction of the life cycle emission is a bit difficult. Wheel to wheel or tailpipe emission can be reduced very easily, but that life cycle emission is what we need to be concerned about. As of now, the reason of that slide was to point out to the two major factors that are contributing to the pollution in EV industry. One was that lithium ion, that battery part of that, and second is the still at present dependence on the thermal electricity on charging stations. Uh, we would promote the usage of non-renewable sources of energy for generating electricity in the terms of wind, solar, etc. To to reduce the carbon emission. And obviously, so as you suggested, it's just an ideal world. Like it's not a magician's wand that he'll wave it and entirely the thing will become sustainable. The IC engine industry has been running on for century, and it's very well established, and it will take serious effort and time to reduce it time by time. we are making great progress, but these are the arenas wherein we can make future progress great also. That was my entire intention.
So, have you considered the total cost of ownership of an EV vehicle? Because if the FAME subsidies go and EV doesn't have any subsidies, and in 7 years you need to buy a new battery. Have you considered the total cost of ownership of an EV vehicle versus ICE and versus a hybrid model?
Princey, would you
Sir,
like
I
to?
would like to answer that. So we were given in the case some data, and based on that only we tried to calculate the total cost of ownership of the EV vehicle, IC vehicle, and the hybrid vehicle as well. Well, in terms of like total cost, what the like data what we arrived at, we found that if the EV is priced, in like the starting point, it is priced at 25 lakhs. Uh, Overall, like including the GST and everything without concession, it would not be, totally a good, provider of cost of ownership because it will be higher than hybrid. Hybrid would be actually the lowest, followed by IC and then full EV.
So the case also said you could even recommend to green mobility not to go in for EVs, considering that so much new technologies are coming, hydrogen fuel and hydrogen cell technology for vehicles. Did you consider that option or not?
Uh, Yes, sir. We try to think on that option. But there is a long time before hydrogen cells come into place. And then again, there would be the same concerns, the same shift in mind which people are having right now from ICE to EVs. That will again happen for the people who might have not shifted to even EVs. Or if they would have shifted to EVs, then what should they do? Should they shift to hydrogen cells or not? Because again, it's like a whole chemistry going in the car, and there could be safety concerns in the mind of people. And the next thing, why still we said that we should go ahead, because the government is promoting first of all EV adoption, and that is a huge force. Because if the government, let's say right now at this stage, if somebody's car has went out of their registration timeline, then they would be thinking whether they should go for EV, hybrid, or ICE. Now, as they know that, okay, government is saying that, like it's the mental thought process people are having right now. Like we try to interview people in the campus and even our hometown as well, and found that their first thinking is no, government is saying that it is going for promoting EV adoption, and if we do that, we'll get subsidies. Like there is a 1 lakh reimbursement on the EV price and all those things. So I will go for that. Plus, what is their travel behavior? Are they like commuting intercities a lot, or it is just for office purposes? Because for short distances, they think that okay, I just have to go to office, and for them it's very easy, and they are thinking that okay, I can afford to have a EV, and definitely it will help because again, it gives a social status associated with it.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. Thanks.
Actually, you guys had a very strong case. Like what Vinay asked, Soham had presented this thing on lithium batteries, right? So you could actually present in such a manner that in the first 2 years you can do an R&D using the renewable energy of the company, and then come out with the plan on which vehicle to roll out, how to roll it. By which time the government policies could have also changed to a great extent, which have given you a flexibility of coming out with the best plan. I mean, this is a suggestion, but anyway, good presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
So your consulting company is called Grey Rhinos.
Yes, sir.
But rhinos are grey anyways, no?
So it is taken from, like, we have one of the courses, Black Swan and Grey Rhinos, which talks about Finn, and so we picked up the Grey Rhinos from there.
Okay. Yeah, black swan may not have been appropriate. Right.
Yeah,
So
Black Swan is existing in one of, like, as one of the firm names.
yeah, I know, but a black swan movement is not what we want. You all of you are first year or second year students?
Second year students.
Oh, okay, good. All the best as you enter corporate life. Who's joining an EV company?
Sir, I have worked like my internship. I've done my 3 months internship in an EV charging infrastructure company.
You worked
Startup.
in an EV company,
Yeah.
EV startup.
Yeah. They
Oh,
manufacture charging stations.
which one is this?
Like charging. It's Spokeswold. It's right currently getting incubated in ISB Incubation Center, Hyderabad.
Oh, interesting. So you love the case.
I actually love the case. And
Okay,
that's why there were so many things that in the
that you
end we
knew.
forgot to add that like hybrid or EV.
Okay. What about you two? Where have you been placed?
So our placements are yet to happen.
Okay.
In summers, sir, I was in my internship. I was placed in Zepto. It's a quick commerce, and the
Okay.
EV thing that we saw was that last mile delivery. Like these startups were heavily relying on the kind of
Electric.
DIY or two-wheeler EV vehicles, so that they can ensure the quick delivery within 10 minutes. The Zepto as a company has a USP of 10 minutes delivery, and so they are relying heavily on these interchangeable battery electric vehicles so that the riders don't need to stop. And yeah, they have, although I did not went and see like which company they are partnering up with, they had partnered with a company that provides them this entire infrastructure, and the dark stores themselves has battery charging stations so that the riders don't need to stop.
Right.
And
Good. All the best to you.
Thank you so much.
And Sudha, where are you going to be working?
I interned, so I am into sustainability a lot. My internship was centered around that. The firm which I worked for produces carbon credits. So yeah, I worked
Okay.
around sustainability.
Okay. That's again another complex industry. Right. All the best to all of you. Nice
Hey,
presentation.
all the best, guys.
All the best. Yeah, all the best.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us the opportunity and we really appreciate the feedback.
We now have a special education AV from Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Life is like cricket. When you get thrown a googly, how you bat is the difference between hitting a six and getting out. A simple example of a googly in life is your laptop crashing while you're working on an important business presentation. If you're smart and prepared, you should have your files backed up on the cloud and should recover from this loss quickly. If you are not prepared, you will have lost years of work. A complicated googly is the 2020 pandemic that shut the world down and disrupted businesses and economies globally. If you already had an online business module or quickly added one, you continued to work like normal. If you didn't, you probably struggled. As organizations, as employees, we try to plan for unexpected situations that could disrupt work. But as an individual, are you prepared to handle googlies like a medical emergency, a natural disaster, a recession, or another pandemic without draining your savings and generating a mountain of debt? If your answer is no, then it is time to set up a contingency fund that can handle life's googlies. What is a contingency fund? Like the name suggests, it is a fund that may help you survive in an emergency. A contingency fund may give you breathing room if your salary isn't paid or if you lose your job. You may not be stumped on how to pay your child's school fees, utility bill and EMI, or worse, if you can put food on the table. How does a contingency fund help in these situations? Well, a good contingency fund is seeded with 6 to 9 months' salary. Do not panic. Yes, that's a lot of money. But you don't need to have it today. You will accumulate it slowly over time. All you have to do is stay committed and only use the fund for true emergencies. This means no spending it to upgrade your phone when it still works or using it to fund that spontaneous friend's trip. How to create a contingency fund? Think of a contingency fund as a systematic investment for unexpected situations. Step 1. Set up a contingency fund account. It can be a savings account, a liquid fund account, or any other type. Just make sure it is relatively safe, easy to access, and separate from your regular savings account. After all, you don't want to spend it accidentally. Step 2. Set achievable targets. When you are playing a match, you don't reach 400 runs on the first ball or even the first over. You keep your team motivated by setting smaller targets that will help you achieve the desired outcome. Similarly, Set yourself smaller targets. Once you reach it, raise the bar higher until you have collected at least 6 months' salary. Step 3. Make your contingency fund a part of your financial plan. Analyze your existing income and expenses and find areas which can be tightened to give you a winning outcome. This should ensure you aren't struggling or forgetting to meet your targets every month. Step 4. Set up an automatic systematic contingency fund process. Start an auto debit to transfer your budgeted amount into your contingency fund account. Remember to increase the amount as your salary and expenses grow. Step 5. Replenish your systematic contingency fund. Every time you dip into your contingency fund, make sure you replenish it. This will ensure you are financially prepared to take on the next emergency, if any. Follow these steps with an aim to build a fund that could sustain your quality of life during an emergency. Start today and aim to be prepared to manage any googly that life may bring. An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
So hello to all the presenters. This is our business plan. The brand we named is TerraVolt. This is our company's logo and the text.
Yes, sir. So coming to the project agenda, the agenda of today's presentation, we'll be sharing the vision and mission that we are suggesting our client, which is a renewable energy giant, as we've been told. And we'll also substantiate for them the opportunity size and the consumer preference that we have found out from secondary sources. And coming to the main part, which is the projections for the new project and the marketing strategy.
Absolutely. So starting off with vision. Firstly, we are already a renewable energy giant and we are pivoting into a new business model. So our vision is to be a leading provider of sustainable mobility solutions to enhance the quality of life for the people around the world. Our mission is to design and manufacture the best technology present in the EV world and the hybrid vehicles that meets the need of the customer and exceeds their expectations. And coming down to our values, we value innovation, sustainability, quality, integrity, and the main point is customer focus. We are customer centric and we focus the customers, so we create our vehicles looking at the needs of the customers. Coming down to environmental impact, we are already a renewable energy giant. The reason we started that primary business was because of the pollution created by non-renewable sources and fossil fuels. And now we are pivoting into a business related to our primary business of manufacturing EVs and hybrid. Is one of the main purposes is environmental impact, because when people use EVs and hybrid vehicles, there is zero tailpipe emissions, there is reduced greenhouse gas emissions, the fuel costs are very less because mainly fossil fuels are very expensive, and when we charge electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, the cost per unit and the cost per kilometer is very less. Quieter operation because all the vehicles have motors instead of ICE engines, so there is no noise pollution also. Reduce dependence on fossil fuels. Clearly we can see that we don't have to rely on fossil fuels such as petrol and gasoline, because we are pivoting into a new business which consists of electric vehicles, so that electricity can also be generated from our own renewable energy sources from our primary businesses. Then lower maintenance cost, as EVs don't have more moving parts like the ICE engines, the maintenance costs are pretty low than compared to a conventional vehicle, an ICE vehicle, because an ICE engine consists of many moving parts such as pistons and all. So that's that, and fewer parts and auto components. So basically electric vehicle is just a bigger size and bigger form factor of the small electric cars, small remote control cars which we operated in our childhood. So it's just a scaled up part of the same thing. So it has very fewer auto components and parts, so the maintenance cost is pretty low, the fuel costs are pretty low.
While we have substantiated on the demand side and the consumer side, we have included the overall ownership cost and the benefit as a part of our conclusion. So we are now moving on to the opportunity size. So like, because we've been given a case specific to India, the total addressable market, we've taken it as all the cars sold in India, because our vision is that the internal combustion engine cars are going to be extinct. We are confident because of the environmental impact that we have shared earlier, and also because of the benefit. So we will replace all the cars, and which is why we've taken that as the total addressable market. Coming to the service addressable market, for now, because we have to take we are assuming a pan-India dealership for our company, and the service addressable market therefore is the number of EVs sold, a subset of the total addressable market. So the TAM is about 3,80,000 crores. So we've referred to data about average price of the vehicles, average price of a passenger car sold in India, and the number of units sold each year. Then the SAM is the number of EVs. So it is hybrid vehicles and also EV passenger vehicles, which is 53,000. And the price that we have taken is also taken from the case given to us, which is 32 lakh including GST for the electric vehicles, and 20 lakh on average for the hybrid vehicles. And based on the projections that we've done for the number of units we'll be able to produce and for the number of units we'll be able to sell, we have taken the service obtainable market as around 1,360 crores, combining both the electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles.
Coming down to consumer preferences, we all know that with the growth of Gen Z and millennial population, people are pivoting into more renewable energy sources. They are more sustainable minded. They are more environmental friendly because people want to conserve the environment for the future generations. So consumers are also preferring more electric vehicles compared to ICE vehicles now. So firstly, we can tell that market share of EV four-wheelers accounted for about 7 to 9% of total vehicle sales in India. But this is in the current times. The government has told that around 2030, the number would be around 30% of electric passenger vehicles, and they will try to pivot into 100% of commercial electric vehicles till 2030. Then, vehicle type preferences. The majority of the consumers prefer full battery electric vehicles over plug-in hybrids due to better performance and lower maintenance costs. However, the PHEVs, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, are also gaining popularity because you can use both petrol and electric charge, battery charge. So the costs are lower of PHEVs compared to fully electric vehicles, and the mileage is better. It's not as high as electric vehicle. There is a fuel cost also added, but due to the entry barrier, which is lower than the electric vehicles, PHEVs are also coming in the market, and they are playing a good role in pivoting from renewable energy sources, from non-renewable energy and conventional vehicles to renewable energy and electric vehicles. Then environmental awareness. Consumers are now more aware about the environment, and they are trying to reduce carbon footprint and greenhouse gas emissions. Many companies are also pivoting into more renewable energy sources. They are trying to be carbon neutral in their manufacturing processes also. Infrastructure concerns. The availability of the chargers at right locations, as many startups have been already developed in the space, and they are trying to set up as many chargers as possible looking at the locations. So over the years, the chargers are also available everywhere, so now consumers can take their vehicles out without having any tensions, without having the range anxieties. The government policies. There are many incentives to support the adoptions of EVs, like FAME 1 policy, FAME 2 policies, the subsidies given by the government, so that the entry barrier of electric vehicles comes down. Then the GST is also 28% right now, because More than 4 meters, if the car is more than 4 meters in length, there is GST plus cess. So it's about 50% of the tax which the price of the car, 50% is just taxes, and there is no road tax for the electric vehicles. So the government is trying to promote electric vehicles more. Then, because of the advent of online technologies and because of cheap internet which was enabled by Geo, so people generally, most people firstly compare all the cars on Car Wale or Car Dekho or any other platforms, then they go for test drives. In fact, many people have started buying cars and bikes online. You can configure electric vehicles online, you can configure high-end vehicles online, you can directly buy two-wheelers and four-wheelers from sites like Droom. So people are also pivoting into that segment.
Moving on to the business plan projections, I would like to first highlight two important aspects before moving on to the projection we've done. First being that the semiconductor shortages, which have been a major threat as a part of the SWOT analysis to the electric vehicle industry. Luckily, the Indian government, at least based on news reports, for a decade or so, are gonna encourage domestic manufacturing of semiconductor chips, which is a good news, but that is a benefit we have excluded from our projections. And also about the subsidies. So, like Tamil Nadu government had given
10 minutes over.
A lot of subsidized land to Ola. So all these subsidies and all, they are additional benefits, and naturally, in as a part of our project costing and estimations, we don't include them. We have them as a add-on. So we have referred to a lot of leading automobile manufacturers' financials to get to know their capacities and how much percentage of their revenues they've invested in the manufacturing capacity, or how much percentage of the fixed assets is into the manufacturing capacity. We've taken a very decent assumption of a 10,000 vehicle capacity for starting, and a decent utilization of 50 to 60% for both hybrid and EV. The investment in the plant is heavy. The investment also includes the R&D costs, is what we've shown. And for the first year, we've taken a promotion expenditure of 100 crores, which is around 7-8% of the revenue from vehicles we are expecting. But naturally, since we are a new brand in the industry, the expenditure is supposed to be high because we are chasing growth. Over the span of 5 years, the projections that we've made, we are escalating our total revenue from 1,380 crores to almost 6,000, to exactly 6,050 crores projected. Coming to the revenue, while the expenses for the first year surpass the revenue that we are projecting, that is only for the short term, but we see break even and recovery as we've planned the capacity utilization and expansion. The company is not undergoing any expansion in capacity between the third and fourth year, and is focusing on consolidation. So this means that the company is extremely serious about its funds and would also want to first consolidate its position than blindly expanding. And we, based on what we have surveyed, we expect to triple our production capacity from 10,000 to 30,000 vehicles within a span of 5 years, and also increase the revenue by almost 4.5 times because of the consolidation that we are expecting. 1 second, going on to the... Yes, so coming back to the business plan, yes.
So the charging infrastructure, as we are providing a solution which is electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, which needs charging because people have the range anxiety and they do not go with their vehicle for long durations and long journeys. So to solve that and to be a pan-India product, we have to also solve another problem, which is charging infrastructure. Coming down to it, we have, according to a report by Indian Auto, at least one charging station must be installed in a 3 kilometer grid, which is 9 kilometers square. So there must be one charging station per 9 kilometers square of area. For long ranges, we tell that on highways and roads every 25 kilometers we will set up our charging stations, and we will try to keep the charging stations where there are restaurants available because charging takes time, and God of because charging takes time back.
Yes, sir. So moving on to the marketing plan, studying what the competitors do, we have taken a budget as shown in the projection of starting 100 crores for year one, then going on to 140 for year two, then cutting down on marketing expense because these are the foundational years, they were high, but we are focusing on reducing the cost and increasing the revenue for the third year, and then gradually increasing as we have tripled our capacity, but the expenses have not tripled by that extent, and most of the automobile advertising in the country happens on above the line modes like television and newspapers and hoardings and mass on a mass level, so that involves a huge cost. So we'll be devoting a half of the expense towards there, and then targeted and guerrilla advertising also. So like we pay people to drive our cars across popular places, so that is what Gorilla comes, and then digital is very targeted to people who own more than one or two cars, because then they can think of sustainability while buying a car. Otherwise, they won't. Devansh, can you just quickly elaborate on this?
Yeah. So coming down to electric vehicle versus internal combustion engine vehicle. See, we can clearly see here that the entry barrier is low in the ICE vehicles. It's around 18 lakhs, for example. And when we buy electric vehicle, it's significantly higher. It's 25 lakhs. But when we calculate all the fuel cost and maintenance cost over the year, expecting a life of 8 years with running of 15,000 kilometers per year, we can clearly see that from 18 lakh, it shoots up to about 27 lakhs, 28 lakhs. But the electric vehicles from 25 lakhs shoots up to 26 and a half lakh. So the total cost and the total expenditure in the long run is lower than ICE vehicles in electric vehicles. So if a person is a first time buyer, if a person is a first time buyer, he won't directly jump onto electric vehicles because of the higher entry barrier. But people who are more towards sustainability, or people who already have cars, they can directly buy electric vehicle. And because of this, there is a gap in between which is fulfilled by hybrid vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Gururaj.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I think you kept it simple and probably focus more on the business strategy. So, I mean, appreciate that rather than giving a kind of white paper on the EV and other things. Couple of things which I had a disconnect here is, one is somewhere you said the EV cost is 32 lakhs or 33 lakhs. When it comes to your business plan, you are saying it is as 25 lakhs. So I didn't get what is the, I mean, why is that difference, what you are showing?
So because we mentioned that there's a subsidy on the road tax and also the other subsidies, the tax exemption under this is income tax section 80EEB. So that's when the cost comes down, and because we are we are consultants, so we have to just show the product cost at the onset. That's why we did this.
Yeah. Other point is, say, for example, you said that you'll manufacture 10,000 cars initially, and you had allotted a budget of around 300 crores or something, right?
Yes.
And what is the kind of market share they need to start with, so that what is the kind of capacity production they have to do to have a kind of 20% market share, or whatever you feel, which will make it break even for them? So if I look at kind of 2.5 lakh car production which needs to be done, the cost is coming to some 12,500 crores. Whereas if I go by your projection for 2.5 lakhs, it will be some 7,500 crores. So there is somewhere there is a gap in the calculation of the cost. That is another observation which I made.
Sir, we referred to the investments made by similar automobile giants like Kia, which the last two new entrants, I think, are BYD, Kia, and MG in this space. So the investment size for their project in Andhra Pradesh was about 2,000 crores as per news reports, and the capacity was almost a lakh car units a year. So we of course we did not directly take the proportion, but we also accounted for some component towards the R&D, and since we are an energy company, it is a quite different space, and plus we are a new into the business. While Kia, it was an old company just geographically expanding, we are a different industry company putting our first step into this automobile industry, which is why I think if we were to produce 2.5 lakh vehicles, if we are multiplying it by 25, it is 7,000 crores, while for Kia it was 2 to 3,000 crores, is what we understand.
Okay. So over to you, SK. Yeah.
I also had the same this thing with regard to numbers. I understand what you're saying, Gaurav, but at the end of the day, as a business guy, when I'm sitting across your presentation, I like to know, okay, Kia or a Tata or anything, they have their own infrastructure already existing,
True,
right?
true. Which
They
is
are
why
not
for us the cost is higher, sir, is what I meant.
correct. So when do I make my money? And when do I make my money? I mean, how much am I going to spend? Because I think Devnath was talking about charging stations, but somewhere that got cut off. But I presume that you're also looking at charging stations being set up by you.
Yes, yes.
Currently,
Also
we are thinking
synergies
of
and
going with
tie-ups.
the.
Yes,
Yes,
please,
it,
Devansh, please.
okay. So currently, we are thinking of going with a model. At first, we will try to do tie-ups with other business who already have charging stations. Like
Okay.
startups are there, so we will firstly do a tie-up with them. So our capex is not that high. Firstly, we will go with the
Correct.
tie-up model. Then after that, when we earn good enough profits from the primary business, which is selling of cars, then we can invest that component in more charging stations, and in that charging stations also we can do the tie-ups. So basically, many companies could come together just like OPEC. We can create an electric vehicle cartel, and then we can create more charging stations at strategic locations so that it could fulfill the needs of all the people who own the electric vehicles and hybrid
And
vehicles.
also to state the price point given to us for hybrid, which is 20 lakh, and for EVs, which is about 60% higher than that, we would like to position the hybrid vehicles, for mass penetration of our brand, and EV vehicles to earn a substantial margin for our profitability.
Okay. Now, with hybrid, which model are you taking?
Sorry?
There are various
What type
hybrids,
of
right?
hybrid vehicle is,
Yes,
sir?
yes, yes.
Sorry?
Currently, we are planning to go with parallel hybrid,
Okay.
and then firstly we would try to go with parallel hybrid because the costs are less. Because in plug-in hybrid, it's just like EV with an petrol engine added. So we will try to firstly pivot into parallel hybrid. We will go with market penetration because the cost from ICE vehicles and parallel hybrid, the difference is very less. Because you just have to set up a bigger battery which already powers your electronics in the car. So just a bigger battery which will regenerate from the braking power, and it will also help in improved mileage because of setting up a small motor.
Okay.
So in that way, with the minimal increase in price, we could provide them better mileages and we could sell more cars. So firstly, we will try to enter the market with that, and then we will push our electric vehicle and these products which are of higher ticket size to the consumers.
Okay. Gaurav, you said you are be initially investing 300 crores, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're also speaking about R&D.
True, true.
Okay. Why is this 300 crores including the R&D cost?
R&D, not the expenditure, sir, but yeah, the capital expenditure that will need. So creation of an R&D center, and also R&D batches of cars, like a huge quantity of cars is produced for the customers to try it out, and the company to get the feedback. So yeah, that cost.
Right, that's included in the 300.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you think the numbers really then are viable?
Viable as in with respect to our earnings, sir, or with respect to
Yeah,
the
units and the
sensibility
revenue
of
which
the.
comes in. See, I understand the first year you are showing a loss. That I understand. Then when do I make that 20% market share? When do my returns looks comfortable for me to continue with this?
Basically, with the advent of fifth year, gradually as we are increasing our market share, we are increasing our production capacity, it's increasing our profits. We can see that we are capturing a good enough market share because currently in hybrid vehicle space there are very less sales, about 10,000 vehicles per year. So firstly, we were pivoting into that.
Devash, I understand what you're trying to say. I want to know exactly which year. Reason is because today, yes, the government is giving you a lot of subsidies, right?
True, true.
So we do not know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Hmm.
After
Absolutely.
1.5 years, government's complete policy will change. The governments can change, policies can change, anything can happen. At which point in time, the organization also gets affected accordingly. Because the consumer behavior pattern also changes based on that. Because you said consumer is very happy because there are a lot of subsidies coming in. But the same consumer may not be that happy when the subsidies are being cut off.
So
So
over the years, with the
that
advent
is
of
when you are coming with a plan, right?
yes, sir. Can I speak?
Yeah, please.
So over the years, with the advent of new technologies and innovations, we can clearly see the cost of vehicles coming down. As
Yeah.
because at the start, when electric vehicles were introduced, or for example, mobile phones were introduced, the cost was very high. But due to innovations, the cost is so
Economies of
less
scale.
now, and it will continue to go down. And because we are also increasing our capex, like first year we have invested 300, then we have invested 150, then 50, then 150. So we are also increasing our capex, so that will help us in R&D and bringing more new technologies. Like currently we are working on lithium ion batteries. Then we can develop a new technology which will significantly reduce the cost, and after years the cost will gradually reduce and it will come down to the range of ICE vehicles.
And
And
from the point of view of payback period, sir, we see it somewhere over a decade, sir, which is fair for a new project, is what we feel.
Okay. Over a decade. Oh, okay. Okay, Vinay.
Payback with respect to the overall cash flows, sir, not
I understand. I got it. I got them. Yes, Vinay.
Okay, no real questions. I think you asked them everything and they've answered well. Right, guys. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you very much. All the
You
best.
may log off now. Yeah.
Benefits of SIP, STP, SWP. Win with SIP. This is Sid. He recently started working and wishes to invest his money in the stock markets. But his salary isn't much and he has only a small sum of money left to invest every month. While he was contemplating on what he could do, his elder sister Reena came to his rescue. An avid investor herself, Reena introduced him to the magic trio of SIP, STP, SWP.
Don't worry, you don't really need a large amount to start investing. You can invest as little as 500 rupees weekly, monthly or quarterly using SIP, that is Systematic Investment Plan in mutual funds. And before you wonder how it could help, let me tell you, a SIP has many advantages. 1. It lets you start small. And when you invest every month, you average your purchasing cost. So, you needn't worry about timing the market. For example, let's assume you invest 500 rupees every month. Given the market volatility, the cost of purchasing a unit of a mutual fund will change every month. Say, in the first month, you may get 40 units for 500 rupees. In the second month, you may also get 25 units for the same amount and perhaps more in the next month, say 45 units. This difference in price averages out over time, giving you the best possible price per unit over time. 2. You not only make your money work, you also make time work in your favor by starting to invest sooner than later. 3. You also benefit from the power of compounding by reinvesting the profits earned from your investments in mutual funds. Let me explain. Suppose you invest 500 rupees per month for a year. In 12 months, you will have invested 6,000 rupees. Let's assume your money grows at 8% during the year. So, your investments will be worth 6,480 rupees at the end of year 1. Now, if you leave the entire amount invested in the fund and continue with your SIP, by the end of the second year, your investment would be 12,480 rupees. That is 6,480 rupees plus 6,000 rupees. But given the 8% returns, you would have earned a profit of 998.4 rupees. And this amount will continue to compound as long as you stay invested.
This is quite enlightening. But sis, I have a doubt. When I get a bonus at the end of the year, how do I invest it? I don't want to take the risk of timing the market.
I'm glad you are catching on, Sid. You just need to be smart with your investments. You can park your bonus in a low-risk debt or liquid fund initially, and then set up a STP, that is a systematic transfer plan, which will transfer fixed amounts from this scheme to other debt and equity schemes regularly and give you all the advantages of a SIP. So you don't have to worry about timing the market. And while the SIPs happen, your money isn't lying idle in your bank. It is earning interest in debt or liquid fund. And just like a SIP, STP allows you to set the duration of your investment period. For example, if you get a 50,000 bonus, you can choose to invest 5,000 in a single scheme or 1,000 in 5 different schemes over the next 10 months. You can make this choice based on what goal you wish to achieve.
You have a solution for everything. I have one more question though. I can keep my investments going every month, but how can I withdraw, say after 10 years, without the hassle of timing the markets?
Well, Sid, this one is easy too. Let's assume you are investing for your retirement funds. Once you retire, you can turn your SIP into a SWP, that is a systematic withdrawal plan, and get a fixed income at regular intervals. So if you need 25,000 rupees per month to meet your expenses, you can set up the SWP to deposit 25,000 rupees into your bank account every month or 75,000 rupees every quarter. SWP gives you the flexibility to choose. A SWP not only aims to give you protection against market volatility, it keeps your money working for you. So, you see, when you SIP, STP or SWP, you aim to win on multiple levels, today as well as tomorrow.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
I think both the teams did a very good presentation, and each had their own plus and minuses. But overall, when we consider all aspects of what we have mentioned in our case study also, the winner is Team C for today. Yeah.
Nivesh Fables presents Choose Your Advisor Wisely.
There were 2 rabbits. Willy was the wise one, and Fred was not so wise. They were walking through a field and came upon 2 carrots. Fred excitedly rushed and picked up a carrot, but it was smaller than it looked. He was confused, so Willy said, "Judging a carrot by its leaves is not the right way." After walking for some time, they came across another set of carrots. This time, Willy chose the carrot first. Fred thought, "How come the carrot with smaller leaves is small?" Willy replied, "I do not judge a carrot by its leaves." For the 3rd time, they found 2 carrots again. Willy pulled out 1 carrot and offered it to his friend. Fred was still confused and said, "I don't know how you do it, but I guess you're just smarter than me." "Fred, I may have the wisdom, but I share it with others and help them benefit from it too. You're my friend, you trust me, and I want you to have this carrot." In real life, while making investment decisions, don't we all look for an advisor like Willy, who wouldn't just look at the leaves superfluously, but analyze, inspect, understand the investments thoroughly, and suggest the right one for us? Someone who we can trust our hard-earned money with. As they say, if you look for a financial advisor, look for someone with the heart of a teacher and the soul of a friend. Have you found yours? An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
you for watching. This is Businessline Boardroom Challenge 2023.